pleasant good evening and welcome to SAT TV's Channel 9 Evening News. I am your presenter, Larry Larrock. Thank you for joining us. Among the major developments, bus drivers say bus stop relocation is disorganized. No decolonization for Montserrat. US says Israel denies African migrants' rights. Sunil Narin called up by the WICB to replace Kema Roach. Details of these and other stories after the break. Thank you for staying with us. Now for the details of the news. The Dominica Council on Aging DCOA Inc., with the theme Securing Ourselves for the Future, held their 17th annual general meeting. President of the DCOA Inc., Mr. Evander Joseph, says he is pleased to be associated with the DCOA for another year. He says it has been a very difficult year, but the organization has managed to accomplish its goals.
I am pleased to be associated with the Dominica Council on Aging for yet another year. The year 2011 has been another challenging one for us, but with perseverance as our watchword, we were able to achieve our goals. Our theme this year, Securing Ourselves for the Future, suggests a lot of planned activities that will augur well for the Council in the future.
Mr. Joseph says at the end of the year, the association had their most exciting celebrations at Collio, where over 300 citizens gathered to share what was dubbed a Christmas moment. He says that the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says he will continue to support the organization.
The Honorable Prime Minister, in his address to the large gathering, made an announcement that he will continue to support the annual Christmas tree for the older persons, support the administrative body of the Dominica Council on Aging with a field officer, a minibus, and rent accommodation for the Dominica Council on Aging's aging.
Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says he supports the program 100%, and if it means he has to stop the reconstruction of roads due to financial issues, he will do so. Mr. Skerrit says this program has to sustain progress, and he will make sure of that. He stated that many elderly persons sometimes are scared to go to the hospital due to people they may owe money, and that is not right.
For fear that they will not be admitted because they owe some money. And we took a decision first to introduce this program in Carib territory, and a little later, across the country. Now, one has to understand that while the beneficiaries are getting the medical services free of charge, somebody has to pay for it. And somebody is in fact paying for it. And we paid several millions of dollars to allow for free medical care in Dominica. And we are not a rich country. And in many developed countries, that is not something that you can talk about. And this is why you see in America, President Obama having introduced what is now called the Obamacare. And we have, well, they call it Red Clinic, so speak public support, so the Republicans call it Obamacare.
The Ministry of Health on Thursday, May 31st, 2012, observed World No Tobacco Day. The observance will highlight 2 weeks of activities which will run from Monday, May 28th to June 8th, 2012, under the theme Smoking, Harmful in Any Form, focusing on tobacco and marijuana use. Health Minister Honorable Julius Timothy says this day was meant to encourage a 24-hour abstinence from smoking and to draw attention to the adverse effects of tobacco.
Tobacco use is among the leading preventable causes of death. Each year, the global tobacco epidemic kills nearly 6 million people, including more than 600,000 who die from exposure to secondhand smoke. In CARICOM, about 30% of male and 15% female deaths are due to smoking. The increase in the use of both tobacco and marijuana among the youth has some lasting effects and is a cause of many health problems. Among them are mental illness, lung inflammation, poor school performance, family problems.
The purpose of this day was to raise awareness for all persons on the deadly nature of smoking tobacco and marijuana, especially among the youth. Also to raise consciousness of the general population on the need for persons to protect non-smokers from second-hand smoke and to assist those who have started smoking to stop.
This year's theme, Smoking Harmful in Any Form, pays particular attention not only to the effects of tobacco, but also to the high prevalence of marijuana use. The Ministry of Health is especially concerned about the high consumption level of marijuana among school-aged youth. Data show that children and youth are a major target for the tobacco industry. Simultaneously, drug dealers are developing a clientele among children and youth so as to increase popularity and longevity for use of their poisonous products.
Mr. Timothy says that the younger children are more likely to become regular users if they start smoking at an early age. He pointed out that the youth are more vulnerable and at risk to developing chronic diseases such as cancer and heart diseases, which are leading causes of death today.
The Ministry of Health will enact legislation to create smoke-free public spaces as part of our obligations to and compliance as signatory to the World Health Organization Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, the 2007 Port of Spain Declaration, and the political declaration of the high-level meeting of the United Nations General Assembly in 2011. Dominica is also developing an anti-drug strategy which will focus on the reduction of marijuana use among the population.
He added that it is urgent that we as a nation be mindful of our individual and collective responsibilities to curb this trend of smoking, whether marijuana or tobacco products. Mr. Timothy says as individuals, you need to firstly take control of your own health and refrain from smoking, and be educated about the dangers of voluntarily putting these poisons into your bodies.
School teachers, church and sport leaders, other youth and children's organizations, you are the stewards of your youth. Strive to be better role models and positive influences to the youth. Set good examples. Do not use your children to purchase cigarettes or marijuana. I call on the young people to get involved in a campaign to educate your peers, friends, and classmates. Join or form clubs to help support a smoke-free lifestyle.
The minister went on to say that Dominicans need to remember that smoking does not make you look cool. The University of the West Indies Open Campus UE Dominica and the National Bank of Dominica NBD Limited presented the 5th annual NBD and UE Open Campus National Distinguished Lecture. The topic discussed at the lecture was Social Security and the Caribbean Economic Development. Head of the UE Open Campus in Dominica, Mr. Francis Severus, says it brings him great pleasure to witness the highlight celebration of the 5th annual NBD and UE Open Campus Lecture.
Time races on, and how good and wonderful it is that both the National Bank of Dominica Limited and the University of the West Indies Open Campus Dominica can celebrate another highlight in our collaboration by the staging tonight of our 5th annual NBD UWI Open Campus Distinguished National Lecture. In that regard, allow me to extend immediately the university's kind thanks to the Board of Directors, the General Manager, and the staff of the National Bank of Dominica.
Dr. Severa mentioned that the University of the West Indies is prepared to take the risk in pushing students into the right paths and unlocking their potentials, which will help develop our country.
The mission of education and enlightenment has its hazards, and at the University of the West Indies, we are prepared to take the risks en route to fulfilling our purpose, which is unlocking the potential of the region through developing our capacity to make a difference in our countries. These lecture series have also been our relationship with the Fortune Hotel, which has accommodated us and has at times waived the conference fees. We thank the management and staff, especially the event staff, for their efficient services.
General Manager of the National Bank of Dominica Ltd, Mr. Michael Bird says NBD Scholarship Program has offered opportunities to students to attend school by providing them with materials such as books.
Their parents. Our scholarship program has enabled a number of low-income and at-risk students to attend school by providing assistance with books and school fees. We continue to partner with the Ministry of Education to host the Math Power Contest, an island-wide contest geared at encouraging students to excel at mathematics. We have been partnering with the UWI since 2008 to host this lecture series, just to name a few of the key things that we support through our corporate social responsibility program.
Director of Center of Health Economics, Professor Carl Fiodor shared some valuable insights on income, distribution, and poverty within the Caribbean and Dominica.
So when we thought about development and seeking to develop this region, those were the things that we were worried about. When Professor Lewis, he put them on the table for us as early as 1948. And in the case of poverty, for example, in 1948, the rates of poverty that worried Professor Lewis were rates of like 7% and 9%. So we set about developing the countries of the region with one of the objectives to deal with.
Students of the Little Gem Preschool located on Valley Road on the property of the Dominica Public Service Union were all excited as they hosted their first ever hat parade on Thursday, May 31st. The students were all happy as they played in a bouncing castle on the school grounds and also posed for pictures with their colorful hats. Principal of the school, Mrs. Medina Defoe, says the objective is to make the children as happy as possible while learning, which will assist them in the future for their development.
We usually have different activities for them, and that is just one of the many activities. We call it a hat parade. Usually we have different themes when we teach them the lessons, and today they are depicting heavenly bodies. The moon, the stars, the sun. If you look at the back, you will see many of them as they parade with their hats.
Mrs. Defoe said that after brainstorming to come up with new ideas of activities that can be done with the students, the idea of a hat parade came up as mixing fun activities with academics go hand in hand to have wholesome students. The principal also said that this event was a good idea as it brought about socializing of students, teachers, and parents, which the students will remember the joys they had while at school. She said that the parents and teachers, in addition to the students, all worked together in creating the hats for the students.
They are very excited. They are very excited. They know their parents made a hat for them and they are going to wear their hat on their head and show the sun, the moon. We always talk about the sun. When we do the weather, we talk about wind and rain and so on, So they have that hat on their head. They feel they are just part of the weather.
Mrs. Defoe added that for previous activities they had a fun and frolic day, a barbecue, and also visits to various places, especially in the month of February, visiting natural sites and areas which they teach the students about.
We're just asking the public out there to have their children enrolled in a school. We at Little Gem, we cater for the whole person. Their social, their spiritual, their physical, and they could send them to us and we can guarantee that they will be fortified in that area. The school is in a strategic point, well encased with wiring and so on. They are well protected. We have no fear when they are out there. We look at them, they play and so on, and they could enroll at the Little Gem Preparatory Preschool.
The principal also said that the hat parade was open to all preschools. However, unfortunately, no other preschool showed up, so the activity was done among themselves. Mrs. Defo pointed out that since the school opened its doors 2 years ago in September 2010, they have been getting good responses from the public and membership is growing. The school is owned by the Dominica Public Service Union and currently has a membership of 54 students. The 31st of May was the last day that bus drivers could use the bus stop on Independence Street, which is now closed. As a result, all bus drivers must use the bus stop near the Isilo Black Bridge. This was done as stated by Police Chief Superintendent Cyril Carrett, who said this is all in the effort of reducing the traffic congestion in Roseau. He also mentioned that the habit of bus drivers stopping off to put passengers down anywhere in Roseau is not acceptable, and the traffic in Roseau needs to be regulated. Many bus drivers were against the idea, while some were for it before it took effect. But now that the action has taken place, SAT TV went to the streets to observe what is going on and got mixed reactions.
Not a problem for bus drivers. They just make it easier for bus drivers. The less you're going down is better for us, you know. So I don't see why bus drivers should talk and make a confusion out of that. Just that the authorities have to make it better and put it in place so it will be better organized, so the traffic can flow much better. But it's a good vibes, man. Yeah, I agree with it. I love it.
However, another bus driver who operates the Kinfield line had a different view on the bus stop relocation.
Pascal.
Go ahead.
I am a member of the Kinfield Bus Association, and I'm not in favor of what happening on the bus stop because you see, there's a lot of congestion. You know?
A bus passenger who witnessed the confusion on the bus stop says this could have been a lot better.
At least they could have a little cooperation in what they are doing. They have to take their time to do what they are doing and do it correctly.
There were many passengers who were arguing that this relocation is doing more harm than good, as it is causing chaos on the bus stop for bus passengers and bus drivers, and they are not happy with this situation. A number of police officers were on the scene to ensure that the flow of traffic is regulated properly, and they were also educating bus drivers on the changes they have done in the area.
So as time goes by, we'll get things really rectified and running smoothly. We need to demarcate the surface of the road. So each individual bus can be packed in a particular, in a special, way. So the River Street is part of is a drop-off point. Buses can come from the New Link Road down to River Street and drop their passengers, and then you go out of town to Great George Street.
And no private vehicles?
No private vehicles should park here. This is a bus stand. River Street is a bus stop where you can put your people down, passengers, they go to wherever they want to go to.
The officer said that bus drivers are really not for the ideas yet, but he says there is more organization that is needed to ensure that everything runs smoothly. He went on to say that it is very important that all motorists cooperate with the officers who will be in the area and follow the new procedures of the bus stop. Britain's massive celebration of Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee is about to get into full swing. This weekend will see the formal celebrations of Her Majesty Queen's 60th Diamond Jubilee take place at the United Kingdom and elsewhere around the world. Events will be held such as the Greatest Pageant, the Diamond Jubilee concert at the Buckingham Palace, the Queen's Jubilee beacons around the UK and the Commonwealth nations including Barbados and Dominica, a celebration of Commonwealth nations in Hyde Park, and a church service in St. Paul's Cathedral on Tuesday, June 5th, and other celebrations. Staff at the British High Commission in Bridgetown celebrated the Jubilee at a special Diamond Jubilee tea party. In recognition to the Jubilee, a portrait of Her Majesty the Queen has been hung in pride of place in the lobby of the High Commission. This portrait is an early depiction of the Queen and was formerly displayed at the St. Winfred School. The school now has a modern picture of the Queen, whilst the portrait has been refurbished and reframed. Celebrations surrounding the big day will seem almost modest compared to those of Queen Elizabeth II, who on this day a Diamond Jubilee marks 60 years on the throne. Britain's ambassador to the United States, US, Sir Peter Westmascott, says, and I quote, "The longevity of her reign is a good inning and it is remarkable," end quote. 5 houses in Roseau will be brightened up as they were selected to be part of the 2012 Discover Dominica Authority Paintathon. The project, which will take place on June 2nd and 3rd, is being done in collaboration with the National Bank of Dominica Ltd, Jose Gabriel and Company Limited, and Harris Pence. CEO of Discover Dominica Authority and Director of Tourism, Mr. Colin Piper, says that the project, which is in its second year, will follow guidance from the Society of Heritage Preservation and Enhancement, SHAPE. Mr. Piper pointed out that prior to painting, they have also scraped out old paint on the buildings to prepare the homes before they can be painted.
And our hope is that this will become a much featured part of Tourism Awareness Month, because it's our way of giving back to the community. We select houses that wouldn't otherwise receive a paint job to increase the aesthetics of the street and of the city. So we certainly hope that we will get more sponsorship in years to come.
Mr. Piper also added that additional sponsorship will be needed for 2013 to possibly host a painter-thon in the second city of Portsmouth. Head of Product Development of Discover Dominica Authority, DDA, Ms. Kathleen Coffey, says that the DDA saw the need to improve the overall aesthetics in the city of Roseau, so this was how the idea of the painter-thon came about.
The staff of DDA, Dominica Festivals Commission, Ministry of Tourism as well, they have all agreed to come out on the 2 days to assist in the painting. So the labor is definitely needed, and we are thankful for them for coming on board. All potential volunteers, because the entire public here from the vicinity of Roseau are invited to come and join us to do this and get our city beautiful, clean, and pretty, as we would say. So we want to thank you, and also the home and business owners who are allowing us to do this venture and to get their homes and business spaces looking pretty.
Marketing Associate at the National Bank of Dominica, NBD, Mr. Karim Bertrand, pointed out that the NBD is happy once again to partner with the DDA with the Painter-thon 2012, as the bank takes keen interest in activities that seek to strengthen and support the communities that they serve. Mr. Bertrand added that the beautification of the city and environmental awareness is very important to the bank.
Earlier this year, we partnered with another local organization to adopt various blocks of Hillsborough, Independence, and Great Marlborough streets, making available a number of trash receptacles, as well as Think Green messages, in an attempt to keep those portions of the city clean and green. Of course, being an indigenous bank whose logo bears an image of one of Dominica's most celebrated symbols, the crapo, reminds us of just how closely linked we are to the environment. This painter-thon seeks to complement ongoing cleanliness efforts in the city and will further enhance the aesthetics of Roseau.
He went on to say that the NBD will continue to pledge its unwavering support to such worthwhile initiatives. The Office of Disaster Management, ODM, is urging Dominicans, especially the media, to recognize the significance of disaster preparedness. A workshop for all media houses was held where Met Officer Mr. Fitzroy Pascal and Police Officer Mr. Robertson Laura did presentations on how to go about preparing for a disaster. Met Officer Mr. Fitzroy Pascal says preparing for natural disasters, whether it is a hurricane, tsunami, flood, or some other hazardous event, can mean the difference between life and death. Mr. Pascal believes taking the time to assemble a disaster supply kit and rehearse a family disaster plan before disaster strikes will help us through the temporary loss of everyday conveniences such as safe water from taps, fresh food supplies, and electricity. He believes that during an emergency, supplies are in high demand, and if stores are open at all, they all run out of inventory very quickly. Mr. Pascal says once a disaster hits, there is no time to search for supplies. Police Officer Mr. Robertson Laura says that all media houses need to understand how it is important to distribute accurate information and when to do so. Mr. Laura says because of the information that media houses dispense at the time of emergencies and disasters, it interferes with the police officers and also fire officers on the job when they are trying to make their way to the scene. In addition, he says the public need to be aware of who to contact when in crisis and what information to give. This has been the local segment of the news. Coming up next, regional highlights.